Being a professional football player is a lot of time, effort, energy, and it comes with a lot of intrigue. And yet, that's still not enough for quite a few guys out there, as they keep pushing the envelope as to how much more they can do in their lives. Growing up, a lot of children dreamed of becoming professional football players. Some want it for the glory, others are after the thrill of competition. The real reason that it's such an appealing dream, rather than dreaming to become an accountant or a clerk, is because it opens you up to an extremely interesting life. So, without further ado, let's take a look at 10 NFL players who are the cream of the crop when it comes to living the most interesting lives. First up, we have Stephen Weatherly, a tournament edge rusher who recently joined the Cleveland Browns. Now, Weatherly isn't so much a household name for his accomplishments on the field, as he's really been limited to rotational action throughout the entirety of his 7-year NFL career. But the former 7th-round pick out of Vanderbilt has built a name for himself as a result of his off-the-field interests. For starters, he's one of the more accomplished academics in the NFL, something that seems to run in the family. In fact, his first and middle name, Stephen Diane, are both a tribute to his grandmother, who received degrees from both MIT and Harvard. While Stephen didn't attend either of those two elite institutions, he did major in sociology at Vanderbilt, which is a well-respected university in its own right. The intrigue around Weatherly doesn't stop at academics either. In fact, he's a bit of a renaissance man with a variety of interests, and he's been that way ever since high school. I mean, most of your average teens from North Atlanta don't hop the pond to Germany to promote civil responsibility, global diplomacy, and cultivate international intelligence. I don't know if I even knew what half those words meant when I was in high school. Over the years, Weatherly has picked up a number of hobbies as well. He is a big chess player, can solve a Rubik's Cube. Oh, and did I mention that he plays 6 different instruments? Or how about the fact that he's also a glass blower? He even appeared on the Netflix show Blown Away to be a guest judge on the subject. And this doesn't even touch on any of the work that he's continued to do in his community by pushing social justice causes. Honestly, I'm surprised the guy actually has the time to even play football. While Weatherly may not have gone to MIT like his grandmother, there is another former NFL player that lives an extremely interesting life and did snag a degree from the renowned institution, with a doctorate in mathematics. And that man would be John Urschel. The former offensive lineman for the Baltimore Ravens played just 3 years in the NFL, in part because of his beliefs around the long-term effects of playing football on the brain, which, considering his other interests, was probably a wise choice. Probably pretty tough to piece together a PhD thesis on graphs, principal minors, and eigenvalue problems if your brain's not operating at 100% capacity. Not to mention the time constraints. It's been reported that while he was trying to manage the double life, he'd be studying and doing research around the clock from the second his team's game ended on Sunday until Tuesday when the meetings resumed, trying to squish a week's worth of work into 36 hours. His post-football work has been well received too. He was named to Forbes' 30 Under 30 list of outstanding young scientists and has won a number of academic awards for his mathematic prowess. Definitely not your run-of-the-mill NFL offensive lineman. Now, Urschel isn't the only brainiac NFLer chasing, let's say, different dreams than most of his peers. Laurent Duvernay-Tardif, the New York Jets offensive lineman who coincidentally, like Urschel, is Canadian-born, has quite a noggin on him. He was the 4th ever NFL player to graduate from medical school, and the first to do it while he was an active player, which is an accomplishment so absurd that it doesn't even sound possible. Duvernay-Tardif has parlayed his intelligence into a number of very interesting side hustles, if you will. He's worked as a feature reporter for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation during the 2018 Winter Olympics, is a Knight of the National Order of Quebec, and is currently pursuing a Master's of Public Health at Harvard. All of his medical experience isn't just academic either. He's a member of the NFLPA Health and Safety Committee, and even opted out of the 2020 season to combat the pandemic on the front lines working at a long-term care facility in Quebec. His efforts on the behalf of his people earned him national recognition, which came in the form of receiving the Muhammad Ali Sports Humanitarian Award. And again, all while he trots out onto the gridiron every Sunday and manhandles opposing defensive linemen. Simply preposterous. I do not know how he does it. Alright, let's shift gears from the trenches to a much different position. The often criticized, rarely appreciated place kicker. Actually, Justin Tucker is the rare case of a kicker that is very much appreciated for his contributions on the field, which is deserved, as he quietly put together a highly compelling case for being the single greatest field goal kicker to ever do it. He has a trophy case filled to the gills with All-Pros, a Super Bowl ring. Tucker is also a classically trained brass baritone who can perform opera in 7 different languages. Not only does the man have pipes, but he puts them to good use. He has performed at different Catholic charities benefit concerts and raised somewhere in the neighborhood of $50,000 for his charity at an NFL talent show. Speaking of NFL players with rather unique hobbies to round out extraordinary lives, how about former All-Pro tight end Jimmy Graham, who in addition to skying high for touchdown catches, also takes to the actual skies as a stunt pilot. Graham's interest in flying started when he was a kid and saw the movie Top Gun for the first time. And when he got his first chance to fly during college, he was hooked. While I was in college, I actually got my first opportunity to fly in a small plane, Jimmy said. My first flight in a plane was an Extra 300L, which is about as lucky as it gets. I just remember we're over the Florida Keys upside down, and I said, I'm gonna do anything it takes to do this one day. So if you fast forward right when I was leaving college, I started my aviation quest, which is ongoing, and I think will be forever ongoing the rest of my life. And in the time since, he's taken his interest in flying to new heights. Soon after his ride along, he got his pilot's license and put his NFL paycheck to good use, purchasing a Bonanza G36 plane. Over the years, he's continued to add to his fleet, including the acquisition of an Extra 300 stunt plane. Graham's Instagram account is now littered with videos of him in the cockpit, shredding the skies like he did opposing defenses for so many years. At one point, Jimmy mentioned the idea of competing professionally, citing the Red Bull Air Race as a potential option. But common sense dictates that will have to wait until his playing days are officially over with. In the meantime, Jimmy continues to fly recreationally and has worked with different foundations like the Experimental Aircraft Association, which he's now the co-chairman of, to create opportunities for children to explore the world of general aviation. Love to see a guy paying it forward. Russell Wilson, a former teammate of Graham's in Seattle, is another NFL player who lives quite an interesting life. For starters, he's married to R&B star Ciara, which I imagine has created a bevy of exciting opportunities, both public appearance-wise and in terms of philanthropy, which is a huge part of the couple's lives. Wilson and Ciara have worked with a number of foundations and even started their own, the Why Not You Foundation, which has made huge contributions to the Seattle Children's Hospital. Russ doesn't just know how to donate, though. The man can also spend money with the best of them. He and Ciara recently purchased a $25 million mansion in Denver, setting the record for most expensive residential purchase in Denver history. Clearly, those fat contracts are definitely a nice perk to go along with being a superstar quarterback in the NFL. Not that the rest of the players are exactly crying poor, but some of the guys in the NFL's middle class, if you will, like Calais Campbell, have turned their passions outside of football into business ventures to supplement their salary. In fact, the defensive tackle has his hands in a few entertainment-related ventures outside of football. He's hosted shows across a variety of mediums and then decided to found the Team Network, a sports comedy production company. He isn't just an athlete parlaying his following into these opportunities either. Back in 2008, he attended the NFL's Business Management and Entrepreneurial program at the Harvard Business School, and he took advantage of the NFL Pro Hollywood Boot Camp at Universal Studios in 2012. He grew up in Denver with a family of 10, and the execs at CBS found his story so compelling that they tried to make a comedy show about them. If you want someone with a truly interesting and unique path, look no further than Charles Peanut Tillman, who has found quite a second act for himself in his post-NFL life as an FBI agent. Tillman hasn't said much about his new career, which, considering he's working for an intelligence agency, is probably wise, but it is believed that he joined sometime around 2018, 2 years after he formally retired from the NFL. While this may come as a shock to some, this was actually a fairly natural transition for Tillman, who came from a military family, as his dad was an Army sergeant, and Charles himself studied criminal justice in college at the University of Louisiana Lafayette. But regardless, talk about two rather extreme and demanding careers to take on. And lastly, we have two of the best pass catchers of the past decade, who in addition to being elite producers at the NFL level, live quite fascinating lives away from the gridiron. Larry Fitzgerald and Rob Gronkowski. Starting with the former, Larry Fitzgerald Fitzgerald was known on the field for being one of the most consistent receivers in the game. He was procedural, professional, and the pinnacle of reliability. And he's taken that same thorough, dedicated approach to his other life's passions: travel and photographing the beautiful sights he sees along the way. In fact, the future Hall of Famer has visited over 93 countries. Then, to take it to the next level, Larry went ahead and started a travel company, Nomad Hill, that works to provide unique, life-changing travel experiences. Something that helped shape Fitz both as a football player and as a man. While this may come as a bit of a surprise to his more casual fans, the travel bug bit the former Cardinals wideout early on in life, and it has been a part of who he is ever since. So, once he got a little bit of money in his pocket, he was quick to take his travel experiences to a whole new level. After his rookie year, he did a 45-day solo trip through Asia, where he walked the Great Wall, scoped out the Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and studied the training methods of sumo wrestlers in Kyoto, Japan. He even biked across Vietnam. Gronk, on the other hand, well, his life is interesting in a completely different way. At a very basic level, he's one of the NFL's most well-respected party animals, and he has made countless appearances at some of the most exciting events across the country. He has been one of the few pro athletes in the modern era to really own his hard partying antics. He went as far as stating that it actually improved his ability on the field, telling CBS This Morning, "It makes you get that itch to go back out. You go out and get refreshed, and it just makes you want to go back out on that practice field and keep going hard." I'm not exactly sure that the science necessarily backs that up, but hey, it's tough to argue with the man who has helped revolutionize the tight end position. And now he's in the midst of a long-term relationship with swimsuit model Camille Kostick, which I'm sure comes along with a good bit of excitement. But beyond that, he seems to have a million random interests outside of football, business and otherwise. He's been featured in just about every magazine out there, appeared on massively popular TV shows like The Simpsons, Family Guy, and Entourage, and he's also founded, partnered on, invested in, and endorsed tons of businesses. It's unclear how much longer he'll actually play in the NFL, as it seems likely he'll re-retire once Brady does. But there's one thing that's certain. Once Gronk does hang up the spikes, he'll likely remain as busy as ever. But which NFL player do you think lives the most interesting life? Did we miss anyone? Join us in the comments section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. But hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.